Hello, chess fans, and welcome back to St. Louis. It's the 2019 St. Louis Norm Congress, where dreams are still alive here in the penultimate round. My name is Ben Simon. I'm here with Grandmaster Aleksandr Lenderman, and wasting no time, let's get to our standings in our Grandmaster Norm division. In our Grandmaster Norm division, Danish Boros sits alone at the top, but it is a very, very close, tight field. We do know that Justin Wang is still fighting for his Norm, his Grandmaster Norm, his very first ever. If he wins this game and tomorrow, the final round, he will get that. And also big news about Tatev Abrahamian we will talk about in just a bit, as she is in a featured game today. Here are the standings for the I Am Norm section after 7 rounds have been completed. It's Luis Torres and Keaton Kira at the top, the gatekeepers, but they're not really gatekeepers anymore because no norms can be earned in this division anymore. No ratings thresholds are attainable. This is simply about who's going to win this field. A down and dirty, traditional 10-player round robin. And speaking of all of the format here, I want to talk about what exactly is a norm, because Justin Wang can still earn one. A norm is a performance. Quantify it quantifiably well in a tournament. That's what you got to do. You got to score a certain rating in a very strong field where there are at least 3 other players that have the title that you are seeking. So in the top division, we have 3 Grandmasters, and Justin Wang has to score 6.5 points. He's at 4.5 right now. If he's at 6.5 by the end of the event, he will earn his first Grandmaster Norm. You get 3 of those, and you get to a 2,500 rating, then you become a Grandmaster. Our format is as follows: 2 10-player round robins, game in 90 with a 30-second increment. The schedule, really simple from here on out. The game started 3 hours ago. Tomorrow, the games will start at 11 a.m. Central Time. That is the final round. We will have playoffs if necessary in the event of a tie for first. Please join us in the YouTube chat. I've got it up and active, ready to go. Okay, round 8 pairings. Let's see them right now. This is happening right now at uschesschamps.com. This is the Grandmaster Norm section. We do know that Joel Banawa and Brian Escalante have drawn their game, but the other ones are still in progress. Casa Corley versus Danish Boros. JJ Ali Morandi versus Brandon Jacobson. Justin Wang versus Andrew Hong. Remember, Justin is fighting for a win today and tomorrow. But our key matchup in this division is Jack Stembuliak versus Tatev Abrahamian. And actually, Stembuliak has the white pieces in this event. Now, this is important because if Tatev wins, she will cross the 2,400 rating threshold, live rating that is, and that means she will be an international master elect. Alex, let's take a look at this very important game.
Yeah, and this has been, again, a very sharp fighting game. But unfortunately, this has gone really, really south for Tatev in this game. In this position, black is completely busted because white is having a very big kingside attack, threatening rook g6 followed by rook h3. And if black were to take here, white takes queen takes e5, threatening queen h8 mate. And if rook takes f3, we have check followed by check and then winning the queen with mate in short order, and black would have to try queen g7, but then after rook takes f8, black will lose this knight, and then will probably lose more material soon after that. So black, unfortunately for Tatev, is completely losing. I don't even see a practical chance for black in this position, and yeah, unfortunately, I'm afraid this 2400 quest will have to wait until next tournament. She definitely had chances even a few moves earlier.
Yeah, right before we took the air, I remember.
In this exact position, black absolutely had to play knight c6. It was a must. She had to get that knight into the game. That knight on b8, which was doing absolutely nothing, had to go in the game. Now, Tatev was probably afraid of this, and then if queen takes h6, rook takes h6, and it looks like black is just losing. But black here has an incredible continuation. Queen takes f3 check, double exclam. And after e takes or king takes, double exclam, e5, followed by rook takes h6. and black is totally back in the game. But this would have been very hard to see, especially when you don't know there's a saving resource, because this position looks like it was completely lost for black. And there was this one desperate chance, but unfortunately she didn't find it, and now she's really staring at a loss. Interestingly enough, I think Jack also was thinking he's completely winning here after queen d4, also probably missing this deep idea, whereas queen c5 probably would have just been winning in a much more simpler manner in this position. But of course, such a hidden chance is very hard to find. But let's see where exactly it went wrong for Tatiev earlier in the game. So this was a queen's Indian, a relatively solid line. And this bishop e1 move, I think I remember it was either Aronian or Ding. I remember at some point played this, and this was like a relatively fresh new idea. And I think it was against someone like Rapport maybe. And I remember white, got a very good position there. And black took here and played bishop e4, which is a very natural continuation. It's possible that there are other moves that are critical, like d5 or c5, but I'm not a big expert on exactly how the theory goes here. But it looks like white just got a very comfortable position out of the opening, putting the queen here on d6. And, here I think that, position is still fighting, but of course it's a bit unpleasant. White will go knight e5, pawn on d7 is quite weak, so black naturally tries to take on b2 to at least suffer for something. But now white has a lot of practical initiative, bishop c6, knight e5. We've seen, yesterday Tatiev defend an incredibly difficult position against Ali Morandi, where Ali Morandi had a lot of initiative, a lot of play for his 2 pawns, but Tatiev was able to find a lot of very accurate moves. But in this game, maybe it was a little bit harder to play, even harder to play than the last time. Like maybe here a5 deserved attention to bring the rook in the game or something. Tatiev took on a2, white took on c5, now black played a5. Still might be within fine for black, but it's already getting a little bit dangerous. h4, a4, h5, h6. Otherwise if white gets h6 in, the dark squares will be looming very, very weak for black. h6, g4, but now unfortunately for Tatiev, this is a very dangerous hook. And queen b2, like maybe queen c2 was somehow better, tempoing the rook and trying to push the pawn as far as possible. But again, this is such a hard position to play from a practical standpoint of view, and white just built up this huge initiative. And yeah, this is already probably just a tough position. So this was one of these games where it's just the opening kind of went wrong, and then a little bit wrong. White had a lot of initiative, and white just had a practical advantage. And this was one of these games where the GM just flexes his muscles and really shows very good preparation, very good form. Jack has been playing very well in this tournament, and he's doing so in this game as well.
Oh, very well. Yeah, Tatiev's had a really good performance in this event so far, and it's not over. I mean, we still have tomorrow, but it looks like that threshold dream is just about up in smoke. But let's see our IM Norm pairings right now. This is happening once again at uschesschamps.com. 2 of the games have finished. Keaton Kira and Ezra Chambers have drawn, so now Keaton is at 6 points live scoreboard, and we know that Eric Rosen with the black pieces has defeated Kenta Chikurate. We may have Eric in here in just a bit for an interview. I don't know that those pairings are 100% correct, but in this division, what we do have today is Luis Torres versus Gauri Shankar. That is a really key matchup. Aaron Grabinski versus Rochelle Wu, and Peter Giannatos versus Aaron Jacobson. But yeah, like I said, this is the key matchup because we have ranks number 2, and Gauri Shankar is tied for 3rd place right now. So this is going to be a really big potential game here in the leaderboard. Let's take a glance at this game, Alex.
Yeah, so here we have a very complex game. Materially, white has an extra exchange, rook 4 bishop, but black has 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so black has 2 pawns for the exchange, and also a very active bishop. So it does seem like black should be fine. However, white also has a lot of play with moves like rook e7, putting pressure on f7. So it's just a very highly dynamic position, probably roughly equal. So let's see how we came to this position. So it was another Queen's Indian. This time white played the a3 line, which is also relatively popular. So the idea of that move is to discourage bishop b4. And we're following a line which is, relatively popular. I've actually played this myself, I think, a few times, this queen a4 check line, trying to take and just trying to play for a small edge, trying to play this structure where the bishop on b7 is a little bit restricted. And, I think positions should be equal, but, white maybe has slightly easier game than black. And, there's been a lot of maneuverings going on in this game. Probably, it's not clear who has maneuvered better in this game. It's a very subtle position. And this is where white went for this very double-edged move. He went for the move e4 with the idea of winning that exchange. Arguably, though, it might have been more accurate to first just not get greedy with the material, but just take on c6 and then play e4. And play 4e5, and then it looks like white has quite a bit of a pull here. But perhaps white was thinking black cannot take on b5. I mean, after all, we're winning the exchange. But in fact, black saw deeper. Black saw that after this, he's winning 2 pawns. He's getting a very strong bishop here on c4. And suddenly, it might even be black who has better practical chances. And it's already up to white to really neutralize, black's initiative, because otherwise black will play moves like knight e5, h6, threatening knight d3, knight f3, and before you know it, black can develop a very big attack. So white has to be very, very alert in this position, and I would say black has a practical advantage in this position.
All right. Gauri Shankar, in case anybody's curious, he just needs to make the 2400 threshold to get a norm, but it won't happen with this event. It is mathematically now impossible. Okay, now that we've glanced at our key matchups, let's take a quick look at the prize funds for this event. We have a $9,000 prize fund for our top group, with $2,000 going to our champion. And in the IM Norm group, a grand total of $6,000 is on the line, and $1,200 of that will go to the champion of the IM group, and that's what they're all fighting for right now. No norms are possible in that group. By the way, we have a really awesome chat today. I want to thank you for joining us. Michael Impena says, why is it called Norm Congress if even at least one norm is not guaranteed? Well, Alex, getting a norm is not easy.
It's not easy at all. Well, the Norm Congress is called because there's a chance to get the norm, right? But just because there's a chance doesn't mean, you're guaranteed to get it, right? It's just they're available. If you're going to play well and if you're going to win games, you will guaranteed to get the norm.
It is also very hard to organize a tournament with the strict qualifications that the World Chess Federation has set in place to make norms available to even earn. So that is why this tournament is tailor-made for the situation, but you've got to make it happen. You've got to earn it.
You still got to play well. There's no avoiding that ever.
No.
So with that said, let's maybe take a look at how how Justin Wang is doing, because he's the only one with the chance for norm. And unfortunately for all of you Justin Wang fans, this game is really going downhill for him, because in this position he's down. I think he's technically not down material, but black has ideas like rook e2, and you can see this pawn on d3 at some point will become a very big nuisance. The bishop on b7 can take on e4 any moment, winning potentially some pawns. The pawn on g7, all it does is shields black's king, and unfortunately for white, he's just completely lost in this position after a move like rook e2 check. So somehow something went wrong for him in this game. This was actually a Sveshnikov, which has been popularized by, as we all know, by Magnus Carlsen in a recent World Championship match against Fabi Caruana. And here white went for a line queen h5. It looks like white might be doing well here in the beginning. White went for a very concrete line here, the idea being that sacking a piece, but we're getting it back because of the mate threats. But, position is still unclear because black has compensation and the pawn is shielding black's king, and black has a lot of piece activity. And this is where it looks like, the game started going downhill here. Because I think, as far as I know for white in the Sveshnikov, white's main problem is usually the knight on a3. It's usually not doing very much once the pawn's on b5. So why not just bring it to c2 and then e3 and just try to get that knight in the game? I think that might be maybe somewhat logical. Or maybe another move might be, although maybe actually now that I look at knight c2 might be met with some knight f3. And after takes, maybe there's some rook e5. So actually, maybe Justin's right about playing queen h3 first, prophylactical move, but after rook b8, now I think maybe somehow try to get knight c2 in. But b3 was played, rook c8, rook c1, b4, and now knight has to go passive a bit, bishop b7, rook d1, knight g6, and queen e3. So here maybe there was a chance to place a move like queen d7. I know it looks risky moving the queen away from the defense, but maybe trying to threaten a few things. I don't know. I mean, the game is very complex. I would say black has a practical advantage because, again, he has initiative for material. And it was one of these games which just was hard for white to play. He has to play very, very precisely, and yeah, maybe if it's time for f3, trying to just undermine this, nice construction for black. But he played queen d2, rook d8, g3, and after knight d3, takes. Unfortunately, he cannot take here because of d4, and the bishop opens up, and there are problems on this log diagonal. So he played queen f4, trying to get the queens off the board, but now it's just kind of downhill from here. Notice that you cannot even take the pawn on d3 because of this very nice tactic. d4 takes and then rook takes c3. The idea being meeting this with the mate. So white played f3, but now that opens up the e3 square for the rook. And then there's been some more moves.
Alex, pardon me, I understand that International Master Eric Rosen is ready to be interviewed, so I'll bow out, and he'll be in just a moment.
Sounds good. So yeah, there's been some more updates on this game, actually. Rook c2 was played, and then after f5, still looks very bleak for white. After knight moves, rook c3 will play, and that will be, probably very tough. And remember, white needs to win to get his norms, so looks very unlikely for white to win a game like that. So with that said, with this update, let's bring us the game of Eric Rosen, who was, one of the quick winners of today's round, and he beat actually the tournament's top seed today, Chikorata Kenta, in a very nice game. It was Nimzo Indian with the bishop a6 line, very ambitious. It's a line that I've played at some point myself. I know that there's also move knight f4, but knight g3 is pretty solid. Bishop d3, d5, and I think already here black has no problems because he achieved his main goal that black is aiming for. Traded off his light square bishop, which is normally a problem for black in many openings. And now after rook e8, f3, c5, it seems like, black has control over the game. And especially after c4, gaining space on the queen side, it looks like black kind of took it from there. Knight found himself very comfortably on h5. And then black won a relatively smooth game from there on. So without further ado, we have Eric with us here. Eric, thanks for coming. So how do you feel about this game? I think it was a very nicely played game by you.
Yeah, I think it was smooth, kind of a feel-good game. And I mean, with black, it doesn't happen so often where I feel like things went my way from very early on.
Yeah, especially against quite a good player. He seems to be in bad form in this tournament, but still very capable player. I remember he drew me with black in the tournament, so very capable player for sure. So where did you feel like, at what moment did you feel like you were starting to already get a comfortable position?
I mean, first of all, I want to say that I had a little bit of trouble preparing for him because he plays d4 like very consistently, and I was looking at his games, and he has so many games where he just destroys his opponents with d4. So I wanted to play something like very solidly, and something which I haven't, or just find some line which I haven't maybe played so often. So I decided to play this line in the Nimzo.
Yeah, e3, b6. It's actually a line I've
b6,
played quite a lot when I was a bit
really?
younger. Yeah, e3, b6.
Because I've never played b6 in this position. I usually castle and then go for d5.
That's what I usually do, yeah.
But I thought this was this had some interesting nuances. And after knight g2, bishop a6, and then white has to make a decision how to deal with the c4 pawn.
Yeah, I think the most common is a3, and then either bishop takes c3 or bishop e7, and if bishop e7, there's some sharp line knight f4, which I remember my coach Georgie won a very nice game with
Yeah,
that.
I was planning to just take on c3, play d5, and then just keep it.
Yeah, that's
like
pretty
very
solid,
positional.
but I'm guessing that maybe white is a tad better, but maybe it's easier for black to place. So haven't studied that in depth.
Sure.
But yeah, knight g3. Here, I think that black already gets a very comfortable game, right, with
So,
d5.
yeah, I just want to show like one funny line I was preparing because I was looking at knight g3 before the game, and one idea with knight g3 is that white wants to play e4.
Yes.
So if we imagine after castling e4, I would play knight to c6. And then things can get very wild. Like if e5, I have knight e8, and then like ideas of f6 or f5.
Yeah, you're going to undermine the space. The thing is, white is not able to gain space and be very comfortable because he's kind of behind in development here. So that's why this kind of stuff probably will backfire, or at least be comfortable for black.
And then there's an interesting idea for white here to play bishop d3.
Bishop d3,
sacrificing the d4 pawn.
And then knight
Knight
e8.
takes d4, and then idea queen a4.
Oh, queen f4, I see. So try to double attack these bishops.
And I was preparing this with Stockfish before the game, and it's just so wild because black can actually justify this line by playing bishop a5, b4, and then d5. It's just an insane position.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really anyone's game. Yeah. Black will be down a piece, but there's tons of compensation. So
Yeah, and one thing I don't think I mentioned to you in the previous interview, but I'm recording all my preparation sessions, and I'm planning to post them to YouTube after the tournament, so people can check those out. There's been some interesting like computer analysis that I've done, but haven't gone to show like open.
maybe
forum.
I should check it out myself. Maybe I'll even early.
Yeah, if you play this line as black,
a thing or two.
some things
Well,
to
you
learn.
never know. At some point I can always play something for the first time, right? So
That's true.
ideas are always welcoming. So yeah, if you're a strong player or even an amateur player, make sure you check out Eric's preparation sessions. You can learn a lot of interesting things. Yeah, but here it looks like white didn't play the most critical line, and now black's moves are just very natural. You're playing for c5, c4, and naturally, he wants to play e4, so you don't let him get that move in comfortably. So
yeah, I was happy to like the structure because like f3. Like usually the main idea with f3 is to play e4, but it's so difficult for white to actually make e4 work because I have a lot of pieces controlling e4 and also a lot of pressure on d4.
Yeah, here maybe white should try to play a3 with the idea of takes, then try to get e4 and then bishop e2. And this actually reminds us of like, this famous structure where I think in 1938
Capablanca,
Botvinnik against
Botvinnik.
Capablanca, yes.
Right.
Yeah, so this kind of thing would maybe be more testing because
Actually,
if
after a3, I think I can take on d4.
take on d4, yeah, and then maybe knight d5 or something, or
Oh, wow.
or even just takes, bishop takes, and then you can take with the queen. And well, white would never be worse here. At least you get rid of the c4 idea, and okay, here you can go queen d1, and you're playing for e4. It just seems like knight e2 was the step in the wrong direction because then after this. Actually, maybe it make sense to play c4 first, because after this, if he played b3, maybe he's still kind of equalish.
Oh yeah,
Maybe
I
not.
honestly didn't see b3 in the game, but it makes sense.
Also, b3 here was maybe somewhat possible, but after this, yeah, he probably should go b3, because a3 is kind of just asking for c4 to be played. It's a move you want to play anyway. And now it's pretty much even b3 becomes less effective because after b5 he loses a tempo, so a3 just really seems to be out of place here. And ever since, this was an interesting nuance, bishop d6, inducing this and going bishop f8 to try to get g6 in.
Looks like it loses time, but I thought eventually the knight on f5 will have to.
You're gaining
go
time
away.
actually, because eventually g6, knight h5 you want to play anyway.
Yeah, and that's essentially what happened.
And now you played knight c3, also possibly not the best move. Maybe he should try to go for e4 right away, or even a move like this. No, sorry. Maybe he should just go back and try to, at some point, still play for
I
e4.
think when you play knight f5, you want to justify it with g4.
Yeah, but knight c3 kind of seems a bit imprecise. Maybe g6 first is also possible to not let him even get g4, right? But I mean, even the way you played, it looks like you always were very much in control over the position, and sure, he could have defended better, but overall you put your pieces in good squares.
This moment coming up, I think f4 was just a positional mistake.
Yeah, f4 was pretty bad, yeah, because now he never gets e4 in.
Right.
Under good circumstances, this bishop becomes bad. He's putting all the pawns on the dark squares. It's like one of these picturesque positions because he has a dark square bishop and put all the pawns on the dark squares. So it's something that you literally should not do in a chess game, usually.
So I think he played f4 with some interesting intention to eventually play queen f3 and then g4 f5. And I did have to find the right approach because, okay, actually an interesting moment after rook e7, I think he originally wanted to take on d5 with the knight.
Right.
But this walks into rook e4,
Yeah.
cutting off the defense of the queen, and then I'll win the e3 pawn next.
Yeah, well, the point is, the lesson here is like when you're playing like in a very anti-positional way, which f4 is, you better make sure the tactics work in your favor.
Right.
Because otherwise it's like you get positionally bankrupt. So it's like, yeah, the lesson to all of you is if you're going to go for a concrete line which is positionally skeptical, and that's what I teach all my students, you really got to make sure tactically it will work out.
It's very true.
So, and in this case, it just
So after
doesn't.
knight d1, I think this is a very important position to figure out how to make progress with black. Because when he initially played knight d1, I didn't really see a way to improve because it seems like my pieces are fully optimized. And then I was very happy with the idea I ended up finding. I initially wanted to play bishop takes d4
Right away.
right away. But it gets a little bit murky after pawn takes, knight takes, queen g4. And
Yeah, and let's say rook e2.
yeah, rook e2, knight f2.
Yeah, knight
I mean,
c2.
maybe it's somehow good for black.
d4. Yeah, it looks like it should still
The
be.
d pawn is rolling.
It looks like it should still be good, but certainly there's nothing wrong with queen d7.
So queen d7, the idea is to play bishop takes d4 next move, and then he's not going to have queen g4.
Right,
So
yeah,
queen
that was a good
misplaced.
nuance, yeah. And I mean, from a practical standpoint of view, I think this was much stronger anyway.
And it still takes him one more move to prepare g4 because knight h4 check.
Exactly, yeah.
So-
g4 to all of your viewers, yeah, g4 is met by this.
So he played rook h1, I think just preparing g4
hope
and
for
not
hope
realizing-
for a miracle that he does get g4 and then somehow queen h3. But of course, bishop takes d4 came. You don't need to be asked twice.
Exactly.
And then takes queen c3,
And-
knight b3, rook b1, queen f5. Yeah, and
And
from
the
there.
rook is like essentially trapped on b1.
Yeah, and that's queen f5 is another good move to trap the rook and take away this square.
And there's just so many resources for black with rook
Yeah.
e2 and d4 always looming.
Yeah, and then from there it's like just
This is forced mate.
forced mate. Yeah, so congratulations, a very nice game. So
Thank
now you're guaranteed to finish on a plus score. How would you assess your tournament so far?
I mean, for the most part, I think it's been solid. With the exception of my game yesterday against Aaron, who, I mean, he played a pretty good game despite having a rough tournament. And okay, there's still one more game, so I'm still going to try and stay focused.
And
get
you're going to be
sleep.
white, right? Who do you have last round?
I'll be playing Keaton in the last round.
Oh,
I
so
know
actually
he's
this is
leading
actually
the tournament. So
yeah, because let's with that said, let's take a look at what are the standings, because we last time I checked, so Luis Carlos is a draw. So actually, you can still win the tournament if you beat Keaton, because
wait, but Keaton is.
Keaton is 1 point ahead of you.
I thought he's 1.5 points ahead of
He
me.
drew today, so he has
he
6
drew?
points, and you have 5, and you're going to be white. So this is actually your
white.
opportunity to. And Luis Torres just finished in a draw. Breaking news against Gauri Shankar in a very sharp fighting position. So that means Torres would need to win to overtake you in case you win. So you actually still have a realistic chance. You have kind of things for the most part in your control. So still very much something to play for. You can even still win the tournament theoretically. So I wish
Now you're putting more pressure on me.
So I wish you best of luck
thank
and
you.
best of preparation tomorrow.
Do you have
and
any advice for me?
Well, just do the best you can, and and try to enjoy the game, and see what happens.
Yeah, that's good advice.
All right, Eric, thanks for coming as usual, and now let's take a look at what exactly happened in this Taurus game. So this was a game they agreed to draw in, but the position is still very much fighting game. Anything can go. And Gayuri offered a draw here. I don't know what the time situation was, but in this position, Black is the one who is clearly better because of the things I've mentioned before. I think Black has 2 points for the exchange, which is material at least as good as the exchange, but he also has a very strong pawn, passed pawn potential, very active pieces, and I mean, to me it looks like Black has nothing to risk. And in this position, maybe it was better for White to play Rook e7, Knight e5, and even give back the exchange, but of course it was very hard to play like this, playing Rook e7, it's like computer-esque line. After Queen e7, Knight c5, Black offered a draw, which I'm sure Lewis was very, very happy to accept it. So, so now, what do we have? So as we've discussed before, we have, so now let's see. So what's your name? Evgeny. Okay. So now we have, do you like to be called Jack or Evgeny?
I mean, it's up to you.
Okay, so I know we have, so Evgeny just won the game against Tatiev. So congratulations, Evgeny. We were looking at this game in studio. It looked like an excellent game. So how do you feel about this game?
Yeah, actually, I mean, the game went pretty well. So I think it's one of the best games I've ever played, actually.
Yeah, it also looked very good. I mean, it looked like you had initiative, and I couldn't even spot any real mistake in this game. What do you think was the critical moment then? Where did it go wrong for her? Where did she make a mistake? Was it just in the opening, or was it somewhere later?
I'm not sure about the opening, but then at some point she started moving her pawn, a5, a4. Maybe that was a bit slow.
So what do you think maybe she should have done instead of a5 here?
I don't know, maybe queen a6.
Queen a6. Yeah, and then with the idea of maybe rook c8.
Yeah, maybe.
And then if you go h4 still, then maybe even f6 or queen b7.
Yeah, h4 is too slow here.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
maybe you have to play rook f3, but then queen c8. Yeah, so this might have been better. Maybe better given Black more defensive chances, actually.
Yeah.
After a5, though, it looks like h4, a4, h5, h6, g4. The position looks insanely dangerous for Black. Maybe queen c2 was a try. What would you do if queen c2?
Queen c2, I'm not sure, but I would probably go rook d3, rook 1 d3.
Rook 1 d3, and then, yeah, maybe queen b1 and just try to go for a quick a3. I mean, it still looks very dangerous, but maybe somehow, miraculously, could this somehow hold? I don't believe, but of course it's very hard to play something like that. But it looks like after queen b2, g5, it's already getting more difficult to defend. Takes h6. Yeah, and there was this one interesting critical moment. I mean, here you played very well, but in this position, queen c5 was, completely crushing. But after queen d4, Black actually had a very incredible resource here that I'm not sure if you saw that during the game, but knight c6.
Okay, I thought knight takes c6.
Queen takes c6.
And then, okay. Yeah, rook h6.
Rook h6, yeah, and it looks like it's completely winning, but Black has an incredible resource here. Queen takes f3, double exclam. And amazingly, after e5, she still kind of survives.
Yeah, I didn't see queen takes f3.
Yeah, no, that's a very hard move to see. I mean, very, very deep, of course. So that was like a very hidden chance for her still in the very end. But once she played f6, from this point on, of course, this is very simple because her king just gets very badly attacked. And
but here it was a very interesting moment. If instead of rook h4, I play rook g3.
Oh, you mean here?
Yeah, but then queen d4.
Queen d4, yes.
And if I go queen b7 and take on a6, it's perpetual after queen e4.
Ah.
Because, yeah, she has this queen h7 check.
Yeah.
I almost played rook g3, but after rook g3, it's already hard to win.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I cannot take the rook.
Yeah, yeah, that was so. That's why you have to always fight till then. You have to always look for chances. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
especially when the queen's on the board, something can still happen. But yeah, Rook H4, of course, was very precise. Was a very good calculation by you. And then, of course, now she resigned because she's either getting mated or losing the queen.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a great game for you. Congratulations on a wonderful win. So this sets you up for a very exciting last round. So now we've just updated. Looks like Denis Borush has won. So that means he's still going to be half point ahead of you, but still definitely real chances for you in the going to the last round. Who is your opponent in the last round?
My opponent is Andrew Hong.
Oh, Andrew Hong. So, he just, drew a game against Justin Wang, just ending Justin's chances for his norm. But of course, young player, very dangerous, but also fighting player. So, should give you some chances maybe. So, I wish you best of luck in the last round. Hopefully making the tournament more exciting, and maybe a chance for a playoff and maybe even with perfect situation, maybe even winning outright. But in any event, I'm sure you'll do your best. I'm not gonna ask you what your strategy is because I don't want you to give away anything. But
Okay.
I'll let you go and prepare now. Thanks a lot for coming.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
All right. So with that said, let's update you on some breaking news. Denis Boros, as we just looked, did indeed win the game against Casa Corley. Now, interestingly enough, it looks like, it was maybe expected because Casa has been really having a very rough event here, and Denis has been in great form. But the thing is, though, it's always hard to win on demand with black. And in fact, earlier in the game, Casa had a serious advantage because Denis took some risks in the opening. And this is the kind of structure that I remember is usually the one where black tries to play for a win, kind of keeping all the pawns and pieces on the board. And but we're gonna take a look at this game later because right now we're gonna take a look at Rochelle Wu's game, who won her first game of the tournament, a very nice game against Aaron Grabinski. And we have Rochelle in the studio with us today. So Rochelle, congratulations, great game.
Thank you.
How do you feel about this game?
I feel like I got really lucky with a bunch of small tactics that he missed.
So what do you think were some main critical moments? It was obviously a long game, so we're not going to be able to go through all of it. So what do you think were the main moments when you think he missed something?
Probably when he played like Queen A3.
Queen A3. So move
Yeah.
37, Queen A3. So you think Queen D2 was better, or what do you think was better for him in this position?
Yeah, something like Queen D2, but the thing is like Queen A3 kind of like forgets about the E4 pawn.
So after Bishop D6, suddenly, yeah, this what he probably missed was after Rook takes D6, suddenly there's going to be some perpetual and then some Queen takes E4,
Yeah.
right? So the line would go like this. Here, King H3, and then Queen F5.
Yeah.
And if King G2, Queen E4 perpetual, and if G3, Rook E3, still no way to avoid perpetual. In fact, White maybe has to be careful not to get mated here. So that was a very subtle move, though. Bishop D6 was a very alert move, catching him off guard, and suddenly his pawn on E4 is weak. So that's just a lesson for all of you. Like, whenever you decentralize the queen, you have to always watch out for some tactics like that. So after Bishop D6, let's see what happened. Queen B2, Rook takes C4. Already you recovered the pawn, and now the game keeps going. It still looks like, White should not be in any danger. It should be a draw, but your opponent was still ambitiously trying to kind of play for a win, probably. And then, the game keeps going, and still nothing much is happening. And then suddenly he lashed out with this Rook takes F5. So what do you think he missed when he went for this tactic?
I think he just missed F5.
You think he missed F5, so maybe Bishop E4 was already kind of a blunder, and
Yeah.
he missed it after F5. There's Queen C6, King G1, and suddenly Queen
C5.
C5, right?
Yeah.
So he was just, it was one of these positions where it looked like he can just play risk-free position all game long, but you still have to always watch out for tactics. Even in a position where it looks like you have no risk, there's still always risk potential involved. And in this position, he could still go Queen F4 here, actually. because after takes, there's queen f8. Did you see queen f4? That he could
No.
play? Yeah, so that would have been, still he would have been fine here actually. But you know, sometimes when you make a blunder, it's psychologically very difficult to recover. You feel like you've made a mistake, but it's very important to just calm down and put it behind you and relax. But of course, when you're having a difficult tournament, like Aaron is having, it's much more difficult to do that. And then after this, rook takes e4, of course, being very precise. Now you're just up a piece, and from this point on, it looked like you won very cleanly. I mean, I'm wondering if he still has maybe some drawing chances here, but...
Yeah, that's why I was hesitant to go into queen f6, but I thought there was no way to lose, so...
Yeah, there's no way to lose, yeah. I mean, it's of course very hard endgame to evaluate whether it's actually winning or not. Maybe this would have been more precise. I mean, that's of course requires deep analysis. But yeah, it looks like he should have gone king d3. And then if you go bishop g1, he can go h3, and it looks like this extra tempo makes a big difference somehow. But you know, again, it's a very hard position to play, hard to defend, especially when you're winning all game long. Yeah, and this is already... Probably it's winning. Well, maybe b4 was still a try, right? Because pawn takes and then king c4.
Oh.
Like very unusual, and then somehow a5 is a threat, and if bishop d6, king b3, it still might amazingly enough be somehow a draw. But again, a very rich endgame, certainly a lot to learn from it. And even here, there's maybe some, but okay, it's he missed this opportunity, and then you know, eventually got the win.
Yeah.
So congratulations on this nice win, you know. And again, I think that you definitely deserve it, because obviously, you know, you have a couple of games earlier in the tournament where you were very close to winning, in particular against Eric, which kind of escaped from you. So now it makes sense that, you know, you got a win that maybe chess-wise, you know, a little bit of a gift, but, you know, you definitely deserved it because you fought very hard till then. You had a positive approach, and, you know, now having yourself a very solid tournament. So what are your thoughts going into the last round? Who are you playing in the last round?
I'm playing against Peter, and I don't know, I'll just play chess.
Yeah, sounds like a great approach. You'll be white, so, you know, I wish you best of luck against Peter, and also in your future upper norm tournaments. I'm sure you'll have many more opportunities ahead of you where you have a great chance to go far in chess. I wish you best of luck. Thanks a lot for coming here.
Thank you.
All right, so that was Rochelle Wu, who won a nice game against Aaron. You know, it wasn't pretty maybe earlier, but later on, you know, it was a very clutch win. And we also have some other results that happened. Peter, who Rochelle mentioned, her last round opponent, did end up beating Aaron Jacobson. So unfortunately, Aaron, after his very fast start, his tournament kind of went a bit south. Still at a very respectable 50%, but of course, not what he was hoping for, I'm sure, going into this tournament. Keaton was a draw, so we have all games finished in the IM norm section. In the GM norm section, we just spoke with Jack, who did beat against Tatiev. And we still have one game going on right now between Ali Morandi and Brandon Jacobson. And this game looks like it's... I have no idea who is mating whom in this position, because it looks like both kings are in extreme danger. But I would still say more likely white is winning, because white is, you know, black is in check, and white will always be on move. And, you know, it looks like, you know, white should, you know, win this game.
Do you think there's a situation here, being that there's so many heavy pieces on the board, if white doesn't check him one time, do you think that white could slip up?
Well, of
easily?
course, because black is threatening mates as well.
Yeah.
So pretty much you absolutely must check in
One
this
move,
position.
right, yeah.
Otherwise, you know, black will quickly counterattack with a checkmate in one. So, no, you absolutely have to check, and you know, but it looks like white should be able to deliver mate for the first time. So, white should be able to, you know, be the first one to be able to deliver mate.
You know, I noticed, you mentioned that all the games in our B group had finished. Tomorrow, there's going to be 3 players who potentially could hit first place, and they're all the IMs. You know, so business as usual here. But we're going to see the best playing tomorrow. I mean, especially if there's a playoff. So that could be exciting stuff.
Yeah, and as Eric didn't even realize that he had still a chance for first. Probably after his key loss to Aaron, it looked like his chances were gone, but it turns out they're not gone. In fact, they're very real. If he just is able to win with white, one game.
There, they signed the score sheet. The game is over. It appears that JJ Ali Mirande has defeated Brandon Jacobson.
Yeah, and that's, they both kind of had difficult tournaments, and unfortunately, Brandon, it's just been a tough tournament for him, a lot of losses. I mean, basically, he's a very fighting, intriguing player, but sometimes when you're in bad form and you fight, you end up having sometimes a tough result.
Alex, we just had Rochelle Wu in here, and she said that tomorrow she is going to play chess against Peter Giannatos, and we have Peter for an interview here, so we'll get him in the studio in just a moment.
Yeah, so let's see what happened exactly in Peter's game. So Peter's game was right here. So let's see how we saw the ending. Let's see how the game started out. It started out as a quiet opening, knight f3, g3, and d4, knight h6. Very unusual move order. Normally knight f6 is the more popular, but I have a feeling this was somehow prepared by Black a little bit. And then knight f5, just a different setup. White played solidly in the beginning, so there's not that much happening. And then White decided to challenge the center. Looks like it loses a pawn, but of course, you get it right back. Knight f6, takes. And, it looks like White has a slight pull here, thanks to his pawn in the center, and Black has to still find a way to counterattack. So c6, queen b3, queen b6. And now White went for this interesting idea, d5, bishop d7, rook e1. And looks like White's still kind of pressing, and eventually he was able to build his advantage, controlling the file, trading queens, and eventually we saw what happened. White ended up winning a nice game. So Peter, congratulations on a very nice, smooth game.
Yeah, thank you.
How do you feel about this game?
It's a little bit of a relief that I lost 3 games in a row, and I've lost prior to this game every game with White, and so it was just nice to actually feel like I have the white pieces for once. Like it felt like I had an enduring advantage for most of the game. I was obviously unfamiliar with the way he played in the opening, knight h6, and
knight h6 was. I've even never seen this move order in this position. I've seen the idea, but not in this exact position.
Yeah, so I don't know if what I did seemed pretty tame, but it seemed like I got a slight advantage anyway. Like it seemed like he was a few tempi behind in development once I opened the game with knight d2 and e4.
Yeah, no, I think the way you played was logical, because if he consolidates and plays knight f6, it looks like he should be okay. But there was one moment which I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah.
If he goes instead of knight f6, if he goes e3, how did you evaluate that?
I thought it was fine, but I thought it would go like fe, knight f6. Oh, I thought he'd go knight f6.
Probably castles first, right?
Oh, okay, and then e4 maybe.
A4 and then maybe e5. I'm just trying
okay. Wow.
So that maybe was an opportunity for Black.
Yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure what was the best way to play. There was also rook e1 with the idea after knight f6, maybe to play
on the queen side.
Play the queen side, but yeah, it's of course during the game it's very hard to decide.
Yeah, I always thought in the event that he ever wants to play something like f5 or something like that, I wanted to leave e1 open for my knight so I could go knight e1, knight d3. So I didn't want to go rook e1 unless I was sure that I was going to get e4 in.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and he maybe could actually consider f5. I mean, it looks a little bit artificial, but you never know.
Rook on e1 is just weird.
Could be like some kind of a stone wall. So yeah, e4 looks pretty logical, straightforward, and the way it happened, you got a very nice.
Yeah, here I was pretty. I thought I was pretty comfortable, and I thought I played some reasonable moves here. Like, okay, bishop f4 is sort of obvious, but I guess the reason it's obvious is because I wanted to stop e5. I didn't know what else to play. I mean, I just wanted to stop e5, and then c6. I thought queen b3 was good as well. and then queen b6. I mean, you know, it's all this is sort of anticipated, and I didn't want him to go bishop e6, so I played d5.
Yeah, d5
I mean,
is a very
that's-
logical move, actually. It's like a
Yeah.
prophylactic move, and
Yeah.
you know, the thing is, taking this doesn't quite
No, yeah.
equalize, because then you
Exactly,
can take.
exactly.
He doesn't have the c pawn, and these pawns become doubled isolated, which
Exactly.
is the big difference. And
My
you know,
bishops are just hammering the queen side, so it's I was very happy with
yeah,
that.
so d5 shows a very good understanding of the position here. Bishop d7.
Yeah,
rook
and here I
e1.
just built, you know, without explanation, just brought my rooks, and then actually offered me a draw after e5. But you know, as miserable as I've been of the tournament as I've been having, it was not.
Yeah, no,
No,
you have
yeah,
no,
yeah.
you no, and that's a great mentality here, because you know, sometimes after 3 losses in a row, it's very easy to just say, okay, let's just, you know, lick the wounds, let's just cut down on the losses and make
Yeah.
a draw.
Yeah.
But you know, no, I mean, I very much admire your fighting spirit. You came here to play chess, you came here to learn,
Yeah.
and you wanted to do the most you can out of every game, and that's what's going to help you hopefully propel to becoming an even better player.
Thank you.
So that's, you know, absolutely right approach. That's what I would tell all my students. No matter how it goes, you have to always fight. Now, interestingly
Yeah.
enough, somehow maybe it was better to play rook ed1, because then in case he goes here,
I have the
then
rook
you,
on the file.
Yeah, you have the rook on the file. It's a little bit counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But after rook d1, I'm wondering if he, let's say, takes and plays something like a5.
Yeah, I thought that was possible. Yeah.
And then it looks like maybe, you know, you're losing a little bit part of your advantage.
Yeah.
So this is where maybe there is some other alternatives, like bishop e3 or rook ed1. But of course, it's hard to,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
catch every critical moment. And yeah, he probably should take on b3 and play a5, taking advantage of
Yeah.
the fact that the rook left. But now you're just controlling the d file fully. Yeah, and from this point on, you know,
Yeah, I think he
open
missed
d5.
like I think because he thought after he took and I played bishop takes, he thought about playing bishop e6, which means to me he originally planned bishop c6, but bishop c6, queen c4. I think that's game over.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
that makes.
Be-
But I think even this, I think, has to be unpleasant for him somehow.
No doubt, no doubt. I didn't like the queen coming to f3, which is why in the game I played queen d5 after trading everything.
Right.
So it's like I was trying to look for a forced win. I couldn't find one. You know, if queen c6, if rook 1 d6, he can take with the queen.
Well, I do a lot of lessons on this team, actually, you
Yeah.
know, because, you know, generally speaking, the queen is like the glue in the position, like it keeps the position kind of together.
Yeah.
And, you know, you already have control over the, you know, the files, you know, and
Yeah.
actually your rooks are better than his rooks, your bishop
Right.
is better than his rook. Only the queen, his queen is kind of the active piece that's good, so it makes
Yeah.
perfect sense to trade it off. It, again, shows very good understanding of the position. And from this point on, you're kind of,
Yeah,
you
the
know.
reason I played c5 is I sort of anticipated he would go rook e7, then I would play c5. I
Right.
mean, c4.
right.
I anticipated he was going to go rook e7.
and then c5.
That's
right.
what I intended. Yeah.
Yeah, there was also maybe this move, and then
Yeah.
after this,
Yeah.
just go like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe that was also good, but I mean, anyway, the way you played was always pretty good. You always maintained a very big advantage, and
Yeah. Here I was a little. No, this is. Yeah.
Can you-
Do I have a stronger move?
yeah, maybe rook d7,
Bishop b2 takes king g8.
yeah, and then rook takes h7.
And just
Just up a pawn.
Just up a pawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe b3 was a little bit kind of too safe, because
Yeah.
at least he kind of
Yeah.
stabilizes a little bit. But still, of course, you're much better.
Yeah, king f1, I was a little concerned about counterplay with e3, like rook e8, give me the a pawn, then go e3, and he gets the rooks in. So I was like, if I just go king f1, and to me, right now, e3 with f4, my
Yes.
rook on the 5th rank covers all the breaks.
Right,
And
yeah.
then bring the king to e2, and then do whatever I wanted to do. That was my thought. I was just trying to, because I thought of, other than king f1, I thought of other things, but I just didn't want his rook, like, I can attack the pawn, then I thought he'd go rook d8. Right, if I go rook e5, rook d8.
What if rook d4?
Yeah, rook e8, let's say.
Well, rook e8, you can. Okay, so if you,
I was a little
okay.
concerned with these e3 possibilities. And
What if you go king f1 here? Okay, so then he still plays a5.
Yeah.
And if you take this, then e3.
e3? I just thought, why allow him to?
Well, you win a pawn though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So there is something to be said about that, because here maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, after a5, king
Yeah.
e2, at least, you know, you don't win the pawn. So,
That's
but of
true.
course, it's still like a very pleasant edge.
Yeah.
But you know what? He should try to
Yeah.
play rook f3 probably.
And just get the rook over to well, go a4 maybe. His counter.
Go a4 and go rook c3. So he kind of actually anyway has counterplay. It looks like.
Yeah.
So that was his chance certainly.
Yeah.
So h5 was played, rook d7,
Yeah.
and then rook
Yeah.
d6. That was a good idea, trading off
Yeah.
his active one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and from this point on,
I think I did okay here.
From this point on, you played very well. Yes. Yeah, and he traded rooks, maybe hoping for, a miracle in the pawn endgame. But
I got a little scared with this race going on because my king was so far away.
Yeah, king b5, king takes d5. Actually,
Yeah.
this would have been a big mistake.
Right.
It's very tempting to do that, but actually,
Yeah, whenever I played h4, I was trying to figure out like how do I make it his move so that he has to go king d7 and I'm up a tempo on this line.
yeah, that's
You know
what he
I
was
mean?
probably hoping for. That's why
Yeah.
he thought maybe there's a little bit of a chance. But
Right.
of course, if he goes there, you just come in there
Yeah,
and you
oh,
win,
yeah, then I go
win
that
this
way.
one, and he's
Yeah.
way behind in the race.
Yeah,
So you have 5, king here, and now it's
and
easily
it all
winning.
leads to that same position.
Same
but
position, but this time you're up a couple of tempi, and
Yeah, okay. Here is yeah.
he still had one trick, I guess. He wanted
he-
to queen and some stalemate.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that was nice. Yeah, so it was a very instructive game, very nicely played. Maybe at times in the end you got a little bit too careful and
Too
you ended
safe,
up
yeah.
giving him anyway counterplay with a5. But in any event, a win is a win. It was a very nice win for you nevertheless, especially coming off of 3 losses. So what is your score right now?
3.
3 out of 8. So,
Yeah.
still have a chance to do it respectable score if you win the last game.
Yeah.
Try to just finish strong.
Yeah.
I really like your fighting spirit. And most importantly, it's not about how you score here. It's about how many good lessons you take from this tournament to play better next tournament
you.
and get better in the long run. That's the way I always look at it. And thanks a lot for coming here.
Yes,
And I
thank
wish
you.
you best of luck
Thank you
with
for
the
having me.
next game and your future encounters.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks for coming. Okay, so now we're gonna take a look at what happened in the Danish Boros' game, and so as we already know, he won the game, but we didn't really check deeply on what happened. So we kind of briefly checked in the opening, where Black played an ambitious opening with the risk of getting a worse position, and of course, White is better here thanks to his space advantage. And as of right now, Casa is kind of controlling the game. But, later something was kind of slipping away from White in this position. I mean, maybe White somewhere here should find a better plan. But here I feel like once you start trading off pieces, then already Black has not too much to worry about. Getting in f5 and space advantage isn't as much felt without pieces on the board, and Black still keeps his bishop. And now we have the man himself, Denis Boros, with us to explain to us the subtleties of this very interesting, complex game. So Denis, congratulations on another very nice win. I know your opponent was having a rough tournament, but still, it's very hard to do win on demand with Black, as we very well know. So, what was your approach going into this game? I saw you decided to play a very double-edged opening. So what?
I felt that this is a very interesting position with lots of fighting chances. So I felt I should give it a go.
Yeah, and was it Magnus who inspired you a little bit of his win against Vincent Keimer?
It jogged my memory, but actually I think I've played this before that. So
I see.
I've seen this structure, and some guy called Michal Tal played this with Black, so...
Yeah, it makes sense to try to follow him. Yeah, so very good advice to everybody. Yeah, now here, as far as I know, I've usually been accustomed to seeing a line like h3.
Yeah.
That was considered like kind of old theory, and then rook e8, and then even sometimes rook takes e3 or something, or bishop
Yeah,
h6.
rook takes c3. I saw some Morozevich games there, but I'm not sure. I think White should be better there.
But also after castles, I thought I've always seen this, but maybe this is kind of too drawish and too easy to play for White.
Yeah, I felt that if I go for this, even though this is the principled way of playing, it's not necessarily Black is not hoping for much. Actually, I've seen Wesley trying to play this in like a crucial World Cup match with Black.
When he had to win, probably.
Yes,
yeah.
and he went for e takes bishop g4, and he had to suffer.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was against Ding Loren, I think,
Yes,
right?
Ding
Yeah,
Loren,
I
yes.
remember that. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, and so I think knight a6 is more practical.
Knight a6 is more practical, yeah, very much so. So you were pretty much going to this game kind of like really trying to win.
Well, definitely looking for a fighting position.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So knight c7, rook e1, and now e5. So definitely, you know, to all of you who are following, a good idea if you want to try to play for a win is to try to keep the pawn structure locked, keep as many pieces on the board as possible, because in these kind of positions, the engine doesn't understand positions with 8 pawns each side as well, and they're like much harder to prepare, and it's like they're very, very subtle. So it's one of these things where whoever understands the structure better will probably play better. So even if it might be objectively better for white, it's still a hard position to play. So where did you feel like white was starting to go wrong?
I think knight b5 was a little strange.
Knight
because,
b5. So what do you think white should have done instead
So
here?
white definitely, so he was looking for some counterplay on the queen side, and I think that's correct. But knight b5 is actually blocking the rook, the whole b diagonal, b line, and also even any queen a4 ideas don't make sense anymore after knight b5.
So what do you think white should have done here maybe instead?
Well, maybe even bishop d2.
Bishop d2, just kind of playing for normal development,
Yeah.
and then after knight f4, maybe bishop f1.
f1, yeah.
Yeah, just kind of keeping the tension
Yeah.
and just playing the position
Yeah.
the way he did, but without knight b5.
Yes.
Okay, but knight b5, of course, should not be a losing move. King
No,
h8,
it's not.
bishop g5, queen d7, bishop c2, f6. It still looks like white is sort of in control. He just, maybe knight b5 wasn't the best move. King h2.
In fact, instead of queen e7, I still consider knight f4, and maybe that's better.
Knight f4 first,
Yeah.
right?
And I also have like cute little knight g2 tricks.
Yeah, maybe.
Sometimes, like, not always.
Although if you take and then go queen d2, maybe.
Yeah, the question is if after g5 or that looks very ugly. I admit that. But
d5 though, there is some potentials like this.
e5. Queen d3.
Yeah, and then after
That's
this,
good to
there's
have.
even like stuff like this,
Ah,
and then
yeah. No,
Very-
this did look dangerous.
yeah, no. So I think you played fine.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping the tension, and now maybe white should try something like queen c1. Just do something about that knight, right? So just give you a question, right? If you either you go g5 or do something else.
I'm not sure. I'm actually asking you. What do you think about g5 here? I was I heavily considering it, and I wasn't happy about it. But I.
Well,
think
what
it's
else can you do though?
Exactly. I
It's
can't
like
do
one of
anything
these.
else. Yes.
Yeah. So I think queen c2 at the very least should have been played because it's like an annoying practical move, right? Give you an annoying question. You
Yeah.
have to now make a decision and make a difficult decision.
Yeah.
Should you play g5, creating a weakness, or do something else? But then I think white should never be worse because he can come the knight here, rook h1, king g1, and your
Yeah.
bishop is kind of restricted. So I would still take white in a heartbeat here.
Yeah, I would say that white is definitely for choice, but I can probably go with h5 and prepare g4. I'm not saying
Yeah.
I'm not.
Well, that's why this plan probably is quite logical to try to. But yeah, that was very, very deep, of course. But queen c1, any kind of attacking move like mosquito bite always has to be considered.
Yeah.
But knight g1 is kind of defensive. Queen d7, rook b3, knight c7,
And
now takes kind of releases the tension. Maybe wasn't as best, and then knight 67 probably also not so good because the knight on c7 was kind of restricted. So maybe knight c3 was better to use this knight more for defense sometimes. But he went here, and now it looks like you're completely fine. But at one moment, did you feel like, you can really win this game, like you were much better or something?
I was getting very confident when I got this position because I kind of saw from games and some experience that it's very hard to break through in this position with white.
Yeah, and then black has the practical advantage.
Yeah.
The bishop on c8 controls a lot of squares. Of course, that was very instructive not to trade this off because then you can even deal with the passed pawn here. Bishop on c8 is not only a great defender of some key squares, but it also is potentially a very important attacking piece, as we've seen later.
Now, I think one thing that was critical in this game is this bishop f6, bishop h4 maneuver. I think we kind of glossed through over it a
Yes,
little
so
bit.
f4, bishop d1, yes, and then, you know,
Going bishop f6, because my bishop is really bad, especially in these King's Indian structures. And after I managed to bring it to h4, it already is like an attacking piece.
very good point. Yeah, activating your least active piece.
Yep.
Very instructive lesson. So, you know, after this, it looks like, yeah, now you're definitely for choice. And g4, your attack comes very natural. And already here, it looks like, you know, very hard to play. I mean, and queen c3 looks like was his big mistake. I think if he still runs away with king d1, king c2,
It's probably around equal.
still around equal. But queen c3 was a horrible mistake, which kind of just is not on time. He lets you do too many things to him.
I mean, queen g6 is strong, and I guess he was kind of hoping that bishop takes f4's work, but obviously there's g takes f3.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
exactly, yeah. As it just kind of being in bad form,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But here it looks like you should have gone bishop g4, queen d3, and then only rook h5.
Then rook h.
Because when you played rook h5, I think you did have some chances still. For example,
Yeah.
bishop goes back to a4 from the La La Land beat 5, where it doesn't do anything. And then bishop comes to d1.
Yeah.
And then after bishop g4, then there's still some bishop e8. So
But I mean, let's be honest, that bishop a4, bishop e8, that's some genius idea.
Yeah,
Like,
that's-
I'm going back, no, I'm going forward.
yeah, that's true. That's true. But I mean, it just goes to show why bishop g4 was better, getting the queen out of there right away, just to get rid of the bishop e8 idea once and for all, and then rook h5. So that was probably your only little blemish on the otherwise wonderful, wonderful game.
Yeah.
And this endgame, is it probably lost?
It's
It might
close. There might be some.
be a little bit of a chance, but
Yeah.
notice how bishop d3 first probably is not as precise because of bishop c7. Although maybe it's still winning, but king g4 is probably better, because then if bishop c7,
King
we just
g3, yeah.
we probably, well, although I'm not so sure. So, well, he played king f2, but maybe he should try this.
Maybe bishop c7.
And then what happens here? You get some endgame like this, and then is this a win or is this a draw? It still could be a draw.
It could be. I go e4, e3.
Yeah, e4, e3. Wait, can I go
Maybe
king f2?
Yeah, you can go king
Problem
f2.
is you can't go e3 because
Yeah,
of that
you can
famous,
take.
you know,
And
this
now-
position would be a draw because wrong colored
Yes.
pawn with the wrong colored bishop.
unpleasant
So,
here, yes.
yeah, actually because of this concept, it looks like this
Maybe-
could just be a draw position.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to sacrifice the a pawn, but maybe even if I go e4 first, he goes king f2 instead of taking the pawn. Because that's what happened in the game, similarly, like take
e4 first?
bishop takes,
But what if-
obviously king f2,
The king f2 is still
and
anyway.
it's still draw, yeah.
Yeah, but even this is probably still
This one I'm not,
king h2 though.
king h2.
Yeah. Yes.
I go around with my king f5, king e4.
King f5. You can even go g3,
You can go, yeah, because,
e2, bishop
you
f2.
sure? Can't I go e2, f3 and just walk? You have
Well, my
two
king-
pawns. You have 2 pawns.
Yeah.
And you just.
Oh wait.
might even-
Yeah. This is somehow losing. Am I in Zugzwang somehow? Oh wow.
Probably.
Bishop e8. Wow. I can be in Zugzwang. So
Yeah.
there's still a way to
yeah,
lose.
So I
yeah.
mean,
So you have to be a bit precise. But yeah, g4 looks like it draws.
Yeah.
King on g3.
yeah,
And if he goes then there, you can just
yeah, and now
get a
you just
blockade.
have to block.
Once
it,
the king's on f2,
Yeah.
it's a draw. But yeah, you still have to. These lines show you still have to be very careful.
Yeah.
But king f2 looks like imprecise. You
Yeah.
know, bishop d3, bishop c7, e4, e3, king e1, and then
Maybe
king
king
g1 looks like it still draws.
I mean, this is the position basically because
Yeah.
bishop c4, bishop c5, bishop takes d5, and we
Still
have.
same thing, yeah. But he played king e1.
But I'm curious though.
Yeah.
So takes on take on a7, king g3.
But you don't have to take on a7 though. You can go
that's
bishop
the thing.
b4, prophylaxis against king
Yeah.
g3.
Yeah, because bishop a7, king g3, I felt I'm very close to winning.
This
Yep,
is
this is
actually is
winning.
winning. Yeah, this actually is winning. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that this is very good.
Just to show the fans how this position is winning, you know, you go back bishop b7, then you go bishop a6, and then you go king around, somehow like this, and then f3, f2.
Yep. And there's no way of saving the game.
But king e1 was played, and that was the decisive mistake. Now there's no time to go king f1 anymore because of king
King
g3.
g3, yeah.
And after this, king g3 was, you know, very good. I'm wondering if this is...
Bishop
this
takes
actually does
e3.
not win.
Bishop takes, yeah, king e2, yes.
This does not win. Yeah, king g3. So king g3 was very precise. Maybe Kassa missed that from far away.
Yeah.
And now this is already winning because after this, you just go bishop e4, very nice finesse. And then f3, and now if he takes, you go f2. And after this, you go bishop check, and you win. So, you got the job done in the end. Very nice win.
Thank you.
You know, keeping the tension, and that's what we got to do when we need to win. And eventually, very often, opponent cracks, especially if opponent is a little bit in bad form. So now you're still half point ahead of Jack Stambuliak, going into the last round. Who is your last round opponent?
Marandi.
Dangerous one. So not having the best tournament, but he did win today, and always a very dangerous opponent. So, you know, should be a very interesting game tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to seeing the crunch time tomorrow. Wish you best of luck, best of fight, and looking forward to seeing some more great chess from you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. All right, so that was Daniel Sporos with us with another impressive win against a person who was having a very tough tournament, but still always very dangerous, Kassa Corley. And now we're gonna take a look quickly at JJ's game. JJ's game just finished. We saw against Brandon Jacobson. So JJ's have been having a little bit of a difficult tournament, but now he just won a very nice fighting game against Brandon Jacobson. And it started off very quietly, but then it was anything but quiet. There was a lot of fireworks in this game. And, you know, let's see where were the main critical moments. Well, anyway, we don't have to wait long. We have JJ with us in the studio. How do you want to be called? JJ or...
JJ, yeah.
JJ is good, right? Yeah. Okay. So we have JJ in the studio. So JJ... how do you feel about this game? It was a crazy fighting game, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was... all pieces were on the board at the beginning. I decided to play b3 on the first move because I know my opponent's playing g6 lately. So I'm like, I'll just play b3 and let's get a somewhat normal position, just a fighting game with all pieces on the board. In the middle game, I think
So what do you think were some of the main critical moments in this game?
I think I started misplaying when I started playing like rook e to d1. I don't know if I was playing like the
Rook
best
e
moves.
to d1,
It
right?
should be still good, but I wasn't sure exactly how to proceed. It's of course a very flexible position.
Yeah, this
maneuvering
is
around.
Yeah, this is a relatively kind of normal game, right? But maybe you can take on d5 first, right?
Probably I should actually decide on the structure much earlier in the game rather than keeping the tension, because I didn't know exactly what to do.
Because when you
with
put the queen on
center.
c2, he has a tempo maybe with knight a6.
Right,
Maybe
and my
it's-
rooks are not really doing much either. So I placed them in very natural squares, but I wasn't sure if they're even best placed. So I was just moving them around.
just a very complex position.
And I think my inaccuracy was knight takes e4 at some point during the game. After that, I think black got very easy play. And
So you think rook e d1 was inaccurate. So what do you think you should have done here instead?
probably I should just wait. I was considering knight e2, but I was thinking he can go like c4.
c4 is very
and
unpleasant, yeah.
I wasn't very happy about it. Of
Maybe
course,
knight b5 and then
yeah, bishop c6, and I wasn't sure if I have to actually go back or play queen d3 if it's
yeah,
possible.
yeah. But maybe that was the best way to keep the tension. But it's of course
Correct.
very hard to play like this. It's a
Yeah.
complicated position. But okay, you played.
And
It
once
doesn't
I-
look complicated, but it's like on the surface. But it actually there are a lot of nuances in this position.
Exactly. And
So rook
e8.
d1 doesn't seem too bad actually. Rook e8 and
It doesn't go together with knight e4. That's kind of what I'm.
maybe you should play rook c2
Exactly.
here.
That's what my opponent told me
Just
to.
keep the tension. Yeah.
Just keep it and just wait until someone decides to break the structure.
Yeah, so you took, and then you
And-
played knight e5, cd, takes,
Yeah.
takes, ed.
And I did overlook e3 actually. I
Hmm.
was not sure how to proceed after e3.
Yeah,
because-
e3 is, of course, an unpleasant move to overlook, but it doesn't seem like it's so costly. Maybe actually it was better to play a very unconventional move, take, and play knight c5, and then
Yes.
go for knight d3.
I
I'm
was
not sure.
considering this, but I thought it's not so easy to give up the dark squared bishop and play like this.
Not easy, yeah.
Um,
I mean, even though you get the d3
practically.
square, it's still kind of, double-edged.
Yeah.
Although white has no knights, and it's very hard for black to really get this bishop in, so it's kind of logical, putting pressure
Correct.
on this. But yeah, e3 is also very natural. So
Yeah, I think he just wanted to play against my dark squared bishop.
right, yeah. The bishop on b2
Exactly.
right here. So
And
knight c5, b4, queen b7, king
I'm
g1.
not sure if black was like, if black is actually much better here, but
Yeah,
I
well, it's
felt like
unclear
it's
if
easy
he's
to play.
It's unclear if he's even better at all.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, okay, your king is weak, but you do have an extra pawn. You do have the square for the rook, and maybe your bishop is not as bad as it looks.
Yeah,
so.
that's why I played e4. I thought I have to do something with this bishop, maybe bishop c1 to
Yeah, there's also
h6.
queen d3, but e4 is very natural,
Yeah.
of course.
I was expecting rook c4. He played b5 without even thinking. I was thinking like maybe b5 now. Because,
b5 now, yeah. Also,
don't know,
there's
I
an
wasn't
interesting move h5, just trying to
Yeah, put the
undermine.
king on h7 as well. So
Yeah,
if
but this
he
is
has
again
to.
a very subtle. Bishop c1, queen b6, king g2. This is all pretty good. h5, rook d6, queen c7, bishop e3, queen c3,
Yeah.
queen d3. And
this
where did
felt
you feel
very
like?
natural, but I thought I was getting outplayed at this point. Actually.
Yeah, so queen d3 is kind of a way to bail out, give up the pawn, but kind of centralize your pieces. maybe a
Yeah,
little.
and I thought I also have potential takes maybe on a7 if I can.
Takes
I'm
maybe
not
even
sure if I
h4,
can.
and
Yeah.
then if he goes here, you can play like here, takes, and if he actually goes
If
for
I
this,
get to this, yes.
then you're better actually. So there is
Yeah.
even hope to be better in some endgames if
Exactly.
you have
I
trades
mean, bishops are strong in endgames if I
Yeah.
can get the right type.
Yeah, so bishop d2, rook c2.
I wasn't sure what he's doing with the rook on c2. Like, it looks all good, but I didn't see how he breaks through.
No
Un-
easy follow-up.
Yeah, until I started becoming over ambitious for no good reason. Here I played rook d7, which is probably fine, but my thought process wasn't, I think, the right one. Queen g4, I thought I can simply take overlooking g5, and that's where everything started to get
Yeah,
shaky.
rook, yeah, g5 is very, now it gets kind of out of control. So actually it looks like, overall, it was a very well played game. I mean, it was a very complex position, but it didn't look like there were really any big mistakes. And,
Right,
so
at least until this point.
king h2 would be kind of natural move, keeping the tension, just because it's not much
Because
you can
there
do.
is no threats, exactly.
It's one of these cat and mouse positions. You kind of just have to.
and
both
running
players
out
have
of
to-
knight f4 check, too.
Yes,
That was the
both
big
players
threat.
kind of have. Yeah, exactly. Get out of knight f4, and both players kind of just have to sit and wait.
Yeah, the thing is, I took on a7 without really thinking what he's doing, and once he played g5, I thought I was in trouble, and
It still could be.
I blundered here.
It's
after
still
the
king,
takes.
still just king h2, right? And then
Yeah.
after this, there's rook
Check,
a8.
yeah. And knight f8, I have to play rook d8 apparently, and
Yeah,
I did not see this
Yeah,
one
it's hard to see that
during.
stuff.
Yeah. My time was going low, and I panicked. I took on g5, and I didn't even realize queen g5 is actually winning a piece.
Queen g5 is winning a piece. Yeah, incredibly enough. Yeah, rook takes d2. But
Yes.
amazingly, he also missed it.
Yeah,
knight
he
takes-
took on g5 without actually thinking at all once again.
Yeah, it was
And-
probably one of these. He probably assumed he has at least that, but then he didn't check like if he has something better.
Correct. Yeah.
So I guess something for him to work on in his future.
Not
tournament.
react immediately. Yes.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah, I still kept my calm and played king f1, bishop e1. I
Yeah,
know I was
e6
playing with
was-
fire, but that's the only things I have to do.
yeah, and then if he goes rook f2, then
I think that's the only move. Takes, e7, queen d3.
yeah, and then
Takes.
yeah, it leads to some sharpness in rook
Yeah, and
b7.
apparently rook b7 is very strong.
It's-
Which I
it's
did
equal.
miss, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean it's hard to
it's
see all
unclear.
that in time
Yeah.
pressure. But yeah, it looks like here
I
he just
stopped after
miscalculated.
queen goes to e4, and I said maybe I can hold on with
Yeah,
the
maybe
pawn.
he's thought he's surviving, but he must have missed
Yeah.
some check. Queen a7, maybe. Maybe
I think
missed-
he missed queen a7.
yeah,
that's
queen
what I
a7
would
is
think.
yeah, because
Because this queen wasn't doing anything
Yeah.
until the very last moves.
yeah, and this was clutch,
Yeah.
and
He
here
didn't play
did-
king d5. He just
yeah,
resigned.
he
here,
resigned, yeah, but
Because king e5, queen f6, and I
yeah,
picked the
king
queen.
e5, queen f6, yeah, yeah, then you win the
And
queen,
then I
or
win the
maybe
queen.
even mate.
Probably if I was
Actually, it
gonna
is
take
mate.
the queen, probably.
Well,
but this
actually, it is mate also.
Oh, it's mate itself, yeah.
Because the c3 square is also controlled, but yeah, very nice fighting game. I mean,
Yeah, I think the fighting spirit was the most important at this stage.
yeah, but there were not that many big mistakes besides h takes g5 also. It looks
Yeah.
like. But certainly a very complex game, and so what score are you at right now?
I'm at 50%.
So that was a nice recovery, and tomorrow you have a chance to play a spoilers role,
Yeah.
playing the leader Denis
Exactly.
Boros
I'll
and
be
with
doing
black.
my
But
best.
I know I've played you when I was white both times, and I know how tough you can be. So I wish you the best of fighting spirit,
Thank you.
continuing the good chess, and continuing kind of from the momentum from this game,
Yeah,
so to speak.
that's what I hope.
And I wish you best of luck. Hopefully
Thanks.
it'll be an interesting game.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
a
you.
lot for
Thank
coming.
you.
So with that, I think this kind of ends all the games for today. So once again, the IM section has been finished. So in the GM section, we have Denis Boros leading after a very nice win over Kasa Corley. Jack Stembuliak just behind him, half a point behind, after another also very nice win against Tatsiev Abrahamyan, for whom that loss was very costly. So she'll have to wait for the next tournament to get to 2400. Justin Wang actually did manage to survive a draw from a very difficult position, so Andrew really misplayed it, this part of the game. For some reason, he did not play bishop e4, and instead played bishop d5 and took a draw, even though here he's completely winning. So, but here this was a draw, which doesn't really help Justin Wang in his norm hunt. He'll, definitely miss the norm because he's only at 5 out of 8. And he needed 6.5 out of 9, but still he has a chance to finish at a very respectable score. He's guaranteed a plus score, so still a very nice tournament for him. And theoretically, mathematically, he cannot win the tournament anymore, but can still fight for top 3. And now we're going to leave it to Ben Simon to finish the recap.
Wow. Man, are you tired yet, Alex?
A little bit.
Hardest working man in chess. I'll say it again from yesterday. It's nice to see everybody again. It's been like 45 minutes or so. Man, but this has been a really entertaining show. A lot of really good in-depth analysis. I've enjoyed it. It's been a blast, and it's only going to get better tomorrow. Before we bow out, let's see in graphical form if we can see our standings for the Grandmaster Norm section. We knew the situation for B before we knew the situation for A, Group A, that is. We have Denis Boros and Jack Stembuliak, the two players who will be competing. Who can outperform the other one tomorrow? Stembuliak, to win outright, will need to outperform Boros, and we might just have a playoff. And then we'll have some other entertaining games as well, but all eyes will be on the games of those two players. And as we just heard from JJ Ali Morandi, the only Grandmaster out of the finale situation tomorrow. He will be playing spoiler perhaps against Boros. Jack will definitely be in his corner. Let's take a look at the standings for the IM Norm section. 3 players can possibly walk away with the championship tomorrow. They are all international masters, the 3 original gatekeepers at the top. hey, what a surprise. Eric Rosen seemed that he is not counting his chickens before they hatch, as the saying goes, for tomorrow, as things would really need to go in his favor with Keaton Kira losing his game for Rosen to even have a chance, and he had to win. But still...
Well, Eric is playing Keaton.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, that's the point.
Oh, well, nice. That's gee, I wonder what's going to be the game of the day tomorrow. Awesome stuff. Do we have the pairings for tomorrow, the final round of play? This is going to be an important day. Right now, we know with no norms on the line, no rating thresholds to be crossed, we're going to be looking at Danish Boros versus JJ Ali Morandi, as well as Andrew Hong, one of the two youngest players, actually the second youngest player in the field, 14 years old, I believe, taking on Jack Stimpuliak. And in the IM norm section, the pairings for tomorrow, it all begins at 11 a.m. Central Time. There it is, at the very top, Eric Rosen versus Keaton Kira. Eric has to win to force a playoff. And as well, at the bottom, Ezra Chambers versus Luis Torres.
And also has to hope that Luis Torres doesn't win against Ezra Chambers.
Yeah, then he would leapfrog the entire game and win outright.
So all three can still theoretically win the tournament. So basically, Eric Rosen does not quite have things completely in his control because Torres could theoretically win with black in the last round. But I would say if he does, manage to beat Keaton, he'll have a very fair chance for a playoff tomorrow.
And we expect to see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. at uschesschamps.com. Remember, the games start at 11, so we're coming on 3 hours into the session, and hopefully for the sake of entertainment, the fields have not been decided, but we will have the winners right here at the desk regardless of what happens before the show, and we will be here until the very end. And the end may include playoffs. If playoffs happen, it will be 4 p.m. Central Time. We'll have an extended broadcast. So this show was produced by the world's greatest production B team. Danny Machuca is the technical director. Isaac Schrantz is graphics and audio. Eric Mosel was show design. Tammy Hyde is streaming the show. And for Grandmaster Aleksandr Lenderman, my name is Ben Simon. Until tomorrow, the grand finale at 2 p.m. at uschesschamps.com. We say so long from the Show Me State.